a great movie, one of the best duos of all time. That's truly a duo where both people were equal.
Yeah, no, I agree. But let's get into sports. I'm Chris Hall.
Wait, we're here for what purpose?
Hey,
We're here to talk about
guys,
sports.
it is Academy Award weekend. The Oscars are Sunday, so it's good to get that little movie reference in
And
there
you know
as well.
what? We've got 4 guys here for the first time in several weeks.
I know.
I know you guys haven't really missed us because these 2 guys that have been here have been doing a great job. But
Ben and Chris and the
we
Ben
got
and
the
Evan show.
we got the full. We're gonna bring it today.
We have more depth than an NBA All-Star game roster.
Yeah,
Or the
definitely
NBA
more depth
dunk
than the
slam,
Hawks.
than the slam dunk contest. Too.
Yeah,
Dunk slam.
when Iman Shumpert's pulling out, that's not good news.
Yeah, no.
All right, so big weekend ahead. NBA All-Star Weekend, NFL Combines, Academy Awards are on Sunday. The Daytona 500. Ben Bolton just can't wait to watch that race for 6 hours. I got to pose a question for you guys. What's more likely to happen this weekend? Danica Patrick wins the Daytona 500, or Jonah Hill, that kid from Superbad, winning the Best Supporting Actor award at the Academy Awards?
Not that kid from Superbad. It's that kid from Moneyball. Let's be real here.
I don't know. I'm still going to associate him with
I still haven't
Superbad.
seen Moneyball. Is
really
that bad?
No, it's all right.
I know he's not fat anymore.
In this movie,
That's
he's kind of
oh,
chubby.
he's
He
still
still
fat.
has the
Okay,
fro,
this was
though.
This was still okay.
Yeah, it was like his last movie.
I think he's funnier. Like, this is one of those rare occasions where, like, you know, it sucks for him because it's almost like as soon as he loses weight, he's not funny anymore. Like, being funny is being fat is like part of his like charm.
Chris Farley.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't get
But you
this-
also die sooner, so.
True. Or
Good for him.
that's if you're a cocaine addict.
Oh, well, wait. What about Bernie Mac? I
Okay.
refuse to believe
Yeah,
that Bernie
yeah.
was a coke addict.
All right, not
I
every
like
Chris
all right.
Farley was just a little more liberal with his cocaine habit, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he has much difference between his life and real life and the movie Tommy Boy or any of his SNL sketches. All right, looking ahead here, I mentioned NFL Combine this weekend. One of the big stories around there is St. Louis Rams have the second overall pick. A lot of teams looking to trade up, possibly the Washington Redskins or Cleveland Browns, even a surprise
that.
team or two.
Yeah, the latest buzz, right before I came here, I was watching NFL Network, and their latest buzz was that the Redskins are the leader in terms of trading for that second overall pick to get RG3.
Is it possible that after 12 or 13 years, Dan Snyder realizes, gee, maybe I should draft a quarterback in the top 10 and not try to sign Jeff George or trade for Donovan McNabb?
I've also looked at several other mock drafts, and they have the Cleveland Browns trading up, which, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Colt McCoy, hasn't been bad, but he also hasn't been.
He's been as good as that team's allowed him to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's they've got so many needs at this point that it's like, what do you do?
Yeah. But I feel like with that team, it's hard to argue that Colt McCoy is better than RG3. I don't know. I think RG3's upside is much greater than Colt McCoy's.
Oh no, I agree with that. It's just there's still a lot of question marks with RG3.
Oh yeah, I disagree. Because
his potential is not as high as Colt McCoy's.
RG3 is going to be a Cam Newton like force.
We just forget because RG3 is more recent, but Colt McCoy was the all-time winningest quarterback in NCAA history.
We're not talking about college success.
What is RG3 being able to run? I mean, outside of Cam Newton, who's fit that model and had lived up to potential?
Randall Cunningham, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Steve Young.
Okay, can we agree that the NFL is a completely different league than it was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Can we agree? I mean, if you look at the quarterbacks that are having success now.
And Colt McCoy is mobile. I mean, people forget that
Colt
too.
Colt McCoy was coming out for the draft. Colt McCoy had things going against him. RG3 has things going for him.
Okay, is Robert Griffin going to be better than Michael Vick?
Throwing-wise, I think he can be.
Okay, is he okay?
Throwing-wise, it's hard not to be better than him.
I think Robert Griffin is never going to be the quarterback Michael Vick is, and I don't think Michael Vick is a winner. Not a bad player, not a bad athlete, but he's not a good quarterback.
It depends what situation you end up on.
He's not a winner.
I mean,
and you know what? When you're an NFL quarterback in the league, you are paid to win games. You're not paid to do anything else but win games.
But
you are the leader. You are the only person on that team that touches the ball every play.
Here's the difference between RG3 and Michael Vick. Remember what kind of person Michael Vick was coming out of college. Look at what kind of person RG3 is.
That's a
leadership,
fair.
What kind of character he has.
He's got the work,
skills.
way harder
what
work
did Michael
ethic.
Vick go to jail for? dogfight.
Okay.
You never catch
let's
There seems like there's a lot of aspects we don't look at. Like, okay, these
let's
guys
break
all
down,
have potential.
Let's break down then.
If you have a lot of potential to be a top 10 pick, a lot of the times what matters for your success is where are you going to end up? Are you going to end up on a middle? Or is a team going to trade up for you like the Jets? Are you going to end up on a bad situation like David Carr did with the Houston Texans 10 years ago? Where are you going to end up?
Well,
if he ends up with the Browns, he's screwed.
I don't
he's
think so.
absolutely 100%
if you look
screwed.
They still have Joe Thomas, Alec Mack, and Eric Steinbach at their offensive line. That's 3 Pro Bowl offensive line.
Who were their receivers?
Muhammad Massacre.
Greg Little.
Horrible.
Little.
Come on, dude.
Greg Little is
good.
Something. There's one more guy.
You got to be joking me. I mean,
Um,
their running backs are Montario Hardesty, who's I'm a Tennessee homer and he's
Injury
garbage.
Well, I'm not saying that there's not that they're lacking talent.
That roster is pathetic. It's not even even a matter of.
They're definitely a weak team now, and they're inarguably the toughest division with 3
Right,
playoff teams this past
My
season.
other one was Josh Cribbs. That's why I couldn't remember. Josh Cribbs is a playmaker. He might not be the greatest wide receiver in the world, but he's a playmaker. I mean, I'm not saying that. I completely agree that
he's a playmaker relative to the talent on the team.
But I don't,
any other team, he would not be anything.
The thing is, they're not screwed if they go and get RG3 and then they go sign a guy like Reggie Wayne or Vincent
To
Jackson.
be honest, at this point, they have literally nothing to lose because they can't get worse.
well, other than fighting
the Colts.
over who's a better quarterback, let's just take a look at maybe
I agree.
the different strategies that they could go for, because I've heard it been said before, when your team as untalented as a Cleveland Brown, not a team with talent who struggles like maybe Miami, or not a team with talent that just doesn't perform, but a team that's untalented, like we can kind of agree Cleveland Browns are. I've heard it been said that you just go with best available. You disregard maybe some needs more than other needs, and you just go with who is the best player.
You take
on
that
your
coin
board.
flip.
Well,
Yeah.
You know what they should do? If they can't trade up for number 2 and the Redskins go up and get RG3 at number 4, I think they should take Trent Richardson.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that,
why
man.
not?
Put Peyton Hillis at fullback. Put Trent
Yeah.
Richardson
I'm going
at
to go
running
ahead
back.
and make
That's
this
a
make
monster.
this
That's a great
statement right
backfield.
now.
I
Right now.
don't disagree
Keep
at
Colt
all.
McCoy. That's
Obviously, I
Yeah.
think. Obviously, I think Trent Richardson is the second best player in this draft. Maybe I think he
Who's
is
number 1?
Andrew Luck. Yeah.
Okay.
I might have to argue Matt Khalil, just because Matt Khalil is an elite tackle, and
Hey,
tackles are more important. But overall
They're
skill
and also
level,
tackles are a little less iffy than quarterbacks
especially
and running
Khalil.
backs.
But
No,
I
there's
agree
been
with
a
you
lot more
saying.
tackles who have been drafted top 5 that have turned out to be
Yeah.
less likely to be bust. I mean, that's probably the safest pick to go for.
But
it's not the sexy pick.
skill
Richardson,
players-
though, probably the best running back
You know,
prospect
and-
since Adrian Peterson.
And Andrew Luck, I think the reason he's receiving so much criticism, even though he's obviously he's received love, but a lot of people have hopped on this this Luck hate bandwagon, and it's flabbergasting, honestly.
Well, let's
because,
call a spade a spade. It's because he came back to school.
yeah,
Well,
no,
as soon as he made
his
the decision to
expectations
come,
were so
that's right.
high.
As soon as he came back to school, they were expecting the Cardinal to go 13, 14-0. He better have 85% completion, throw 40 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's unrealistic.
But let's be real,
expectations.
okay, breaking down Andrew. Let's break down what Andrew Luck has in his arsenal, and let's also break down what Griffin has in his arsenal. And what I think Luck has is just that pocket presence and, the overall ability to look through and go through his reads. I'll give it. Griffin has one of the best. I've said this before. He's one of the greatest deep balls I've ever thrown. He is dead accurate on the deep ball. He can bootleg and roll out of the pocket. He's very effective. But he might be too small to look over his offense, an NFL offensive line. And then he also, I don't think he has the ability to check down to his tight end and look off a safety, or I don't think he has the ability to hit those crossing routes as consistently as Andrew Luck.
Well, when I look at the difference between Luck and RG3 comes at the line of scrimmage. RG3, when he played at Baylor, played in the spread offense. He didn't have very many reads to look at. He didn't have to check down. If you go back and watch what Andrew Luck did, he was doing what Peyton Manning did at the line of scrimmage.
No,
in
Andrew Luck's
college.
playing in a more pro-style offense. RG3, that's more
With
the new age offense.
Andrew Luck's receivers were, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, they were piss poor.
I think you can say that.
Yeah, they were bad. he had a decent tight end.
I mean,
but
Luck had a heck of an offensive line. I mean, Jonathan Martin, David DeCastro are going to be
his
first-round
offensive line
picks.
his offensive line was good.
RG3 had a
His
Kendall
skill
Wright who
players
could
were
be the
bad.
first receiver chosen in the draft. So
He's not
both these
gonna
guys
be.
had some talent. And
Kendall Wright will probably be
Around
like the
them.
second or third pick wide receiver.
I mean, yeah,
you got to look at
Blackman.
Justin Blackman. That's the only reason that. But no, I agree. Kendall. I mean, Luck didn't have the same type of weapons that RG3 had, but neither of them had the greatest array of, all stars that they were throwing to. But I mean, Luck just fits the prototype. If you
I
look
agree.
at the NFL, there's never been, like you were mentioning before, the running quarterback that has gone all the way. So the Colts, they can't choose RG3 here because Andrew Luck is just that guy.
no, but I don't think RG3 is a bad second option. If you don't, if
No.
Andrew Luck's going to Indianapolis Colts and you're the Cleveland Browns or the Washington Redskins, you end up with RG3. That's not a bad pick at all.
Unfortunately for Robert Griffin, I think the reason we're saying that, or at least I'm saying that I don't think he's going to pan out, is because of history. But there's a reason, the past 5 years that a dual threat quarterback hasn't been able to win games in the league. There's a reason for that, and I'm going to stick to my guns and just stick with the evidence and that I have around me, and just make. Because that's all we're doing right now is we're making inferences based on experiences and the past history of what's happened in the league recently.
I mean, I agree that there hasn't been a huge, we're going away from mobile quarterbacks to quarterbacks who can run. There's a difference between mobility and running. Andrew Luck has mobility, and RG3 can run.
And the biggest thing that the direction the NFL is headed is those getting just those quick passes and getting receivers in open space, and letting the receivers make the plays and spreading out the field. And I don't think Robert Griffin really has that. I don't, and that that takes a different type of that takes a quarterback that knows an offense. That takes a quarterback that's got a high football IQ that can call an audible at the line of scrimmage. That just knows what the receivers are going to do.
But it seems like a lot of the stuff nowadays, people just have to have a reason to criticize a player. It's like, all right, we have to find every nitpicky thing. Look at last year with Cam Newton. Everyone thought he was going to be a bust. He had one of the best rookie seasons ever for a quarterback, maybe the best ever. And it's like these guys are both great prospects, two of the best quarterback prospects we've seen in recent years. In a great situation, both these guys can excel. If RG3 goes to Cleveland, he's going to have Mike Holmgren there who – he was Joe Montana and Steve Young's offensive coordinator. He built that Green Bay team with Brett Favre and Reggie White.
Hasselbeck.
Yeah, made it to Hasselbeck, the Super Bowl. So this guy obviously knows what the hell he's doing running a team. And RG3 would be in a great situation up there.
And Holmgren held out with Brett Favre, too, in Green Bay. But, we could sit here and talk all day about RG3 and Andrew Luck. But, it's just a matter of just seeing what they do. They're not going to throw at the combine. It's really wait until they play. Those are the only two things. But while we're sitting here on the combine, we have to talk about what we think Georgia players are going to do because we are from Georgia. So at the combine, they have Cordy Glenn, guard, or he played tackle for UGA, but he's a guard. Orson Charles is going to be working out tomorrow along with Cordy Glenn. You got Brandon Boykin, who's going to be working out on Tuesday. You got Ben Jones working out tomorrow. Drew Butler and Blair Walsh worked out today. There hasn't been a lot of news because punters and kickers really don't have a lot of news. The only thing that I knew about Blair Walsh is that he had to go every kicker has to go through a psychological evaluation, so I was kind of scared maybe we'd get a story out of that. And then also D'Angelo Tyson, Justin Anderson and Bruce Figgins are all there. So I don't know. Who do you think out of Georgia is going to have the best combine performance?
Probably Boykin. Obviously he's probably the most. He was probably the most talented, player on Georgia's roster for the past couple years. He's just incredibly athletic. Played both sides of the ball. I expect to see him run, maybe a low 4.4. If on a really good day he gets right under that 4.4 mark at about a 4.38, 4.39. But I see him running about a 4.43. And he should have a nice vertical. He should. I don't think he'll put up too many reps on bench or anything like that. But you don't really need that at the cornerback position. But yeah, he'll have a nice day and the best day of the University of Georgia.
He'll probably make the most impressive plays there, like Chris mentioned too. But the guy's probably going to get drafted the highest is going to be Cordy Glenn. He's projected as a first-round pick, going to be one of the top offensive linemen going. Probably going to be drafted after David DeCastro from Stanford. Orson Charles, one of the top tight ends in this draft. third overall, and a lot of them. I think Dwayne Allen from Clemson is probably the consensus number 1 tight end in this draft. Yeah. Then you're going to see Ladarius Green from Louisiana Lafayette. There's another guy to look out for as like a sleeper pick. He's slowly climbing up Mel Kiper's draft board. And that was the guy we saw a few years ago when he came up from Athens.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a physical specimen.
Yeah, I watched him in the bowl game.
6'6", 238.
It was just unbelievable.
But, I mean, as far as the rest of the people go, I mean, I want to pick Boykin too. Actually, Mel Kiper put him on, or no, Todd McShay put him on his list of guys that could run the fastest 40 time at the combine this year. I don't believe that. I'm right there with you. I don't think he's that fast. I think he's just an athletic specimen. But I think he'll be, for his size. I mean,
he should do better. I think he's more shifty than fast, so I think he'll have a better. He'll do better in the cone drill.
Shuttle run.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can't not go with Orson Charles here. I mean, just his athletic ability. I don't know. I think he's got great hands. That one drill that I always love watching is one where they run the vertical line and they have guys throwing them from either end, and you can sit there and watch their instincts catching the ball. Out of most of the drills there, they're usually pointless, but Orson Charles, the one I'm interested to see, is when he has to run that vertical line, has to look to both sides of the field and catch the ball, and you can watch how his hands are, because something that you can tell about any great receiver is just how good their hands are. That's what you have to know. So I don't know. I'm looking to Orson to do stuff like you said, Brandon Boykin. Guy's a freakish athlete. If he didn't have the athleticism, he wouldn't be nearly as high up on the draft boards if he didn't have like his returning ability in the kick and punting game. So special teams for him boost his draft stock. I mean, McShay was actually tweeting about him earlier this week and saying that he's a decent man coverage, not very good at zone coverage, but his athleticism makes up for it. So we'll see. Go Georgia.
Go Dogs.
I'll be up at 9.
And I think this is I think this is a pretty good comparison. I think Orson could potentially have the most success in this class that Georgia's graduated in the NFL. I think he's very similar to Vernon Davis. Same height, similar build. Same kind of speed. Not a huge tight end, but kind of that hybrid that we're starting to see. With like Aaron Hernandez. Not as tall because Aaron Hernandez is like 6'6", but kind of that faster tight end, so that you can so it's a mismatch when the linebacker's on him. I think he could potentially see some very big time success in the NFL.
And if he falls at all in the draft, late second or something like that, look for the Falcons to go get him. Why wouldn't they?
I'd be
Hometown
cool with that.
guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
could use another tight end on the team.
Gonzalez is only going to be around for so long.
One more year, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love the Falcons to go.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
That would be a great addition.
Love
to their
for the Falcons
team.
to get some safeties too, and maybe some defensive.
They have
ends.
a lot.
Let's. Do you want to talk about Falcons?
What they need to do in the draft.
What they need to do in the draft.
That's fine with me. I mean,
I want to be more of a Falcons fan so bad, but it's like.
Me too.
It's just like over the years, I've just been I'm still a Falcons fan. I'll watch every game, but it's almost like apathy slowly crept and settled within me, because it's just every year, I know what's going to happen. We're going to win 10 games and lose the first playoff game. It's so frustrating. I'm so tired of it.
I don't know.
The biggest thing the Falcons need to look at, though, looking at another running back. Well, Michael Turner's getting up there in age. Yeah. I know he didn't run as much early in his career, but they're going to need to think of getting a second guy in there. You're not going to get Trent Richardson.
But Michael James, get him in the 4th or 5th round. Guy is speed back. Put him back there.
There's another guy I looked at as well. Chris Polk from University of Washington. This guy had some big runs out there too. I know the Pac-10's not, or Pac-12 as it's called now, is not known for its defense. This guy had some great runs there too. Very shifty back, 6'2", 220. Definitely a guy to look at there. This guy's projected to be one of the top 5 running backs taken in the draft. Could be a guy in the Falcons' range.
What about Bobby Rainey? Where is he in the draft class? Out of Western Kentucky, running back.
Or David Wilson.
I thought he was up there.
David Wilson's another one.
David Virginia Tech, another one to look on there.
Doesn't have the greatest vision, but geez, is he fast. And I've never, I've been watching. I don't watch ACC football too much, but when I do, I was always watching him play.
When I do,
I prefer Virginia Tech.
I have not seen a guy hit the hole as fast as David Wilson in a long time. That, I mean, he isn't the biggest back. He's actually 222. I didn't know that, but he doesn't play at 222. But he is fast. I mean, the run he had against, I think they played Michigan in the bowl.
I thought it was Michigan Clemson.
No, yeah. Who did they play in the bowl?
Virginia Tech, and I can't remember.
I want to say it was Michigan.
It was. Michigan beat him at the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah. So Virginia Tech, one of those
Clemson
classic
played West
runs
Virginia.
where he runs off the right tackle, stops completely, and then runs makes this sick cut and runs up through the middle next to his center, and it was incredible. And that run sold me on this guy's ability. So look for the Falcons to go after David Wilson, and in the 4th or 5th round.
And another name that we were talking about before the show started was, we don't know what Jeff Demps is going to do. He's going to go to the Summer Olympics this year to do track stuff for Team USA, but when he comes back, he's going to need a job. If I'm an NFL team, I might go get Jeff Demps.
That's definitely a guy you could see getting drafted in the 6th or 7th round. Someone saying, you know what, this guy might be trying out for the Olympics this year, but hey, this could be a good value pick later.
This year, this year's a very interesting.
How about Usain Bolt? Can we get him to come play for the Falcons?
They tried.
This year has a very
Dolphins tried to get him as a kick returner after the Beijing Olympics.
Yeah.
I don't think that worked out.
This year has a very interesting running back class because other than Trent Richardson, I see everyone as kind of on the same level because right now you have your 10th best running back is Vic Ballard, who he had a stellar year too.
He's another Michael Turner-ish.
Yeah, and then
Jason
Isaiah
Snelling
Peed, a name you haven't really heard too much from Cincinnati. He had a great year.
I think it's just we're in that thing where the NFL now is all about passing, but
True.
You need a rotation of running backs.
Right.
So these guys are all going to fall,
and that's why.
But they're all going to get playing time.
That's the only thing that's going to be Trent Richardson's knock is in a league that's kind of headed in a direction of we're going to pass 65% of the time, we're going to run the ball 35% of the time. That takes away from Trent Richardson's touches.
Yeah, but you're still going to need a great running back. It still comes in handy.
Yeah,
and
when I say when I say you still need a great running back, you don't need Trent Richardson's one knock is his hands and his inability to understand that third down back role.
And you could make an argument, and let's make a case study of it. New Orleans Saints. When we hear the name Darren Sproles, we do not think elite running back.
But he's perfect for the system.
You can argue, that he was one of the most effective running backs in his role by yards per touchdowns per amount of touches he had because of the role he had. And what we've seen is the running backs who can catch the ball and have that wiggle, like we were talking about with Brandon Boykin, who can move agile, shifty from side to side and make yards after catch. Those are increasing. They're on the rise for demand.
Trent Richardson may not be the Marshall
Faulk,
Faulk, Darren Sproles pass catcher type, but this guy's going to help a team win a game. Just because he might not be the best pass catcher, someone's not going to just pass him in the draft.
He's one of those
Look
guys,
at Brandon Jacobs.
Well, I mean, he's one of those guys, like you said, he's the next best running back prospect that we've seen to Adrian Peterson. When Adrian Peterson plays for the Vikings, they're not a bad team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When their offense, this
Peterson's not known as a pass catcher either, but he'll get 30 or 40 receptions a year, and that could be what Richardson does.
I mean, the thing is that running back, everybody used to be centered on running back. Now that that's moved away, if you're an elite running back, everybody knows it. That's just how it is now. If you can't take away how valuable Chris Johnson was not this past season, the year before that, how valuable Adrian Peterson is before he tore his ACL. These guys, the special ones are special, and if they're there, you take them.
And that's all I was saying. I mean, if you don't have that elite talent, the next best thing in today's NFL is to be able to run and catch really well and be able to do things after the ball. But for those guys that Trent Richardson, he's expected to follow up in the likes of Chris Johnson, Adrian Peterson. No one's going to sneeze at that. I mean, it's undeniable. So.
Well, and then, before we move on a little bit, another thing the Falcons do need to look to is they have to re-sign John Abraham this year. Okay, that is risky. It's 33 years old. Do you try and get him on a short contract? Two,
that speaks volumes about how depleted our defensive end depth is, though. I mean, we've got who do we
Ray
get?
Edwards is not bad.
Ray Edwards is not bad,
Sid
but
Barry
he was a
Jr.
little bit. He underachieved last season a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely did not live up to that deal.
Yeah, we really need to go after defensive ends in this draft, I think.
Defensive ends, and then also you have to consider Curtis
Defensive
Lofton.
tackles, too.
Curtis Lofton, our middle linebacker, he's a Pro Bowl-ish kind of middle linebacker. His contract's up. We have to re-sign him. Brent Grimes' contract is up. Now, he might not be the most elite cornerback in the league, but Brent Grimes has made so many plays for the Falcons. It's hard not to.
But is that a guy you don't want to get into a bidding war with another team at free agency? So if
I
someone's coming in there and offering him $4 or $5 million a year, because
You
there's owners
back
out
away
there
from
like
that.
Dan Snyder and Jerry Jones that will overpay for a guy like that. Do you give him that big deal?
If I had to predict where Brent Grimes is going to end up, I say he ends up in a Colts uniform. I think they're going to have enough money left over from not signing Manning. I don't think they're going to go after Robert Mathis. From all their moves, they'll have money to go get secondary.
Oh.
He's one of the best available.
I think with this
this
new
year.
organization, they're gonna clean
They're
house.
going to start
Yeah,
over
they're gonna
from.
just-
They are.
Which
They've
is
already
smart.
made that clear.
They try to rise from the ashes.
Well, that's
You know.
I just wrote a blog about it. I said they should trade Dwight Freeney. I don't trust him to play a 3-4. Robert Mathis, I don't trust him to play a 3-4.
He's not big enough. No.
And
Exactly.
Reggie Wayne's probably going to leave as a free. And that
Wayne's
leaves you
gone.
with Dallas Clark.
Manning's gone. Clark will stay just because Luck needs that security.
Clark's
blanket.
still about 30 years old. He's not too old right now.
He could be the first tight end that Luck can learn to throw to, but I don't know.
Well, here's a surprising look for Brent Grimes. He went to Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. He's from Philly. Maybe the Eagles want to do Dream Team Part 2 this year and overspend on free agency.
Well, they're looking to get rid of Asante Samuel right now. So.
Well, that was one of they were trying to possibly get rid of him in training camp last year because when they traded for Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, they signed Nnamdi Asomugha, and they still had Asante Samuel. That's a lot of money you have in that secondary, and that secondary clearly did not live up to the hype.
And you're paying, not only are you paying all that money, but you're paying someone that much money to play the nickel, which is unnecessary.
Exactly.
And Cromartie was a Pro Bowler a few years
Yeah.
ago, and Asante and Nnamdi would be a great duo to have too, but they have to spread the money
oldest?
around.
Asante. So I mean, you got to get rid of the oldest player. That's just how it is in the corner and the athletic position.
Yeah, and Asante will get another job somewhere else. Samuel's still one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Get some value for him.
Watch the Patriots on him.
I wouldn't be surprised if
They have a lot.
lot.
They're one of the teams with the most cap space this year.
Yeah,
They signed
I'll look
all
for
these
that to
one-year
happen.
They
deals with all
signed
these random guys.
People named Ninka Vujic.
You talking about Ninkovich, Rob Ninkovich? What are you talking
There's
about?
a
The Patriots defense
Kutavides
makes
or
me want to
whatever.
slap Bill
What
Belichick
are
in
you
the face.
talking about? You're
The
speaking
Patriots
Korean
definitely
right
have
now.
a guy on their team whose last name is like
Kunta Kinte?
No, that's
it's like Kutavides, whatever. I give up.
stop pronouncing names you can't pronounce. That's just
Stop
terrible.
before you hurt yourself.
That's
All right.
terrible.
All right, Lion
And
King.
so will the NBA Slam Dunk contest tomorrow night.
No, it won't. I think it's gonna be fun.
If
Amon
anything,
Shumpert's
it's
pulling
gonna be more
out.
interesting because we have no clue who's gonna win.
All right.
Chase Budding.
Who's even in it? Can we
Yeah.
talk? Can
We-
you
we
enlighten
talked
We
me?
talked
it.
about it last week.
But there's actually I'm interested to see just because they're lower
Yeah.
people we don't know. But you got Derek Williams,
Arizona.
Arizona.
Yep.
Just he's a rookie. Paul George, probably the most athletic of all the
I
contenders.
think that's who I chose.
Jeremy Evans just got added. Look him up on YouTube. Guy's a great dunker. Go look him up.
Doing it right now.
Chase Buddinger. He's the white guy.
Another
off the Houston
another
Rockets.
Arizona
He could-
guy.
You never know what he could do. That guy. You don't. I like these little dark
Okay,
horses.
there should
guys.
honestly, if you're white, no.
I'm just
No.
interested to see if he
This
like
is the,
You just shouldn't be in the
miraculously
dunk
wins
contest.
that. Are there going to be like newspaper headlines like the Great White Flight? You know, I don't know.
who knows?
Looking at these contestants in there too, how interested are you? I mean, most casual sports fans can't name any of these players. I mean, is it time we just put in the best players? Is it time we just put in LeBron James,
But they wanna
Dwayne
agree to
Wade,
it.
Blake
Yes.
Griffin?
They're
No one
soft.
cares about
That's
these
what's
guys.
wrong with these people. They're soft. They care more about themselves than the league and the actual love of the sport. And that's what's wrong with them. I will never, and it's so frustrating, dude. Because that when Jordan and Dominique were in the dunk contest, I mean, everyone was watching the dunk contest. And yeah, I'll watch the dunk contest, but I don't.
The
think
ratings went up
I'm
last year,
I'm
one of their highest ever, because you had Blake Griffin in there. But you're just looking at these names. It's like all these guys are pulling out, and there's no interest in it. Let's get the best players. They should make a rule. The slam dunk contest, you have to be playing in the actual All-Star game to be part of it. For the 3-point contest, if you want to bring in guys who aren't in the All-Star game, that's fine too. But let's start putting some stars in the game. And LeBron James never lived up to his promise that he was going to be in the slam dunk contest a few years ago.
LeBron's never going to be in it. I mean,
LeBron not living up to a promise? Oh, imagine that.
just let
Not
that,
one, not two.
let
But
that one sit for a minute. That was a good one. But I don't know. For me personally, I either like it two ways with the slam dunk contest. I either want it to be superstars or I want it to be guys we don't know. So
Let's go superstar. I mean, this is like beating a dead horse, honestly.
And people have been complaining about it for a few years now.
How about can we talk about Kevin Love being in the 3-point competition?
That'll be interesting to see.
We talked about this, yeah. Wait, before we move on, and also for everybody out there, dunk contest, the rules have changed. There's only 3 dunks, 1 round. All right, move on.
I'm sold on Jeremy Evans now.
Kevin Love will be interesting to see in the 3-point contest because he is. You don't consider him a stretch forward, but he does have that long range shot, and because of that, he's probably going to be on the Olympic team because in that international play, you definitely need a stretch forward type of player, and he definitely fits that mold for the Olympic team, and we're going to see some of that skills, portrayed tomorrow night in the skills contest. Can't wait to see it, and he could be interesting to see it.
What's tonight? Is tonight like the celebrity
Tonight is
game?
the rookie-sophomore game. It's the first time ever they're mixing teams between the rookies and sophomores.
Celebrity game.
Coach Shaq versus Coach Barkley. Can't wait.
God.
9 o'clock on
game.
TNT.
The celebrity game is also tonight, Matt, and your boy Vinny from the Jersey Shore is going to be
Oh,
on
right.
it. Yes.
What time is
Bieber
that?
was in it
I
last
think
year,
it's
so
7 o'clock,
Okay.
and then after that will be the rookie sophomore.
yeah.
I kind of want to hit Justin Bieber in the face.
Bieber's not going to be there this year.
Oh, good.
It's like J. Cole and
J. Cole is sick, dude. I've seen him play basketball on like YouTube. He's dope.
We looked it up last week, and it was a bunch of people. I mean, it's a lot of rap stars, obviously, but then we saw Vinny from the Jersey Shore.
Vinny has to be the worst basketball.
And then there's a
player of all
couple
time.
of
He's gonna show up.
legends
He's gonna show
playing.
up drunk, 100%.
No, I don't think he's gonna have. It's gonna be MVP there. Just gonna be him. Just gonna be V, not M and P there as well.
Yeah.
But as far as
Kevin Hart's gonna be there.
that's right, Kevin Hart. That's who I picked to be
the
MVP
short
as well.
comedian. He's gonna be the
Yeah.
point guard. If you think Muggsy Bogues was short, I mean Muggsy Bogues would be a center playing with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, true.
Kevin Hart, man.
Kevin Hart's like 5'2" on stilts.
He's gonna
Like,
he's gonna pull some jokes. I can't wait.
Yeah.
He's just gonna be stupid out there. But I called him as MVP.
Probably gonna have to keep it clean,
yeah.
unlike he usually does.
I told Evan and I were also talking about it last week about we think that in the future, like future celebrity games, it's going to be Jaden Smith's going to win all the MVPs for like straight 10 years.
All right, another guy to look out for in there, Penny Hardaway. I don't know if Little Penny's going to show up, but it'll be great to see him. And it's because it's in Orlando this year. They're bringing back a lot of the Magic from the 90s. Nick Anderson, who was another guy from the 95 Magic that made the finals. He'll be back in there as well. So we can't wait to see it. And I think Neo's going to be in there as well.
Neo.
I never understood his voice if he
Is that
says
like-
Neo or Neo.
It's
Neo, like
it's
the guy
Neo.
from the Matrix.
Yeah, it's like the guy from the
No, it's Neo.
Sounds like you're trying to say
Neo. Neo. Tamika Catchings is playing in the game as well, and the teams will be coached by Dwight Howard and Kevin Durant. So,
Well, no, it's going to be these. I like the first 2 days because it's kind of a play around atmosphere.
It's joke.
You don't know how you don't know how
Informal.
you don't know how creative these guys will get. It's always kind of fun to watch. 3-point contest wise, I think last week I chose Ryan Anderson, so I'm going to stick with Ryan Anderson. If you
he is the hometown guy.
You have James Jones, Kevin Love, Ryan Anderson, Anthony Morrow, Mario Chalmers, and that's it. Joe Johnson,
I'll go for Anderson to win.
Joe Johnson was supposed to be in
James
it. But he got hurt.
Jones.
I got James Jones.
I'm sticking Ryan Anderson.
I'll go with Ryan Anderson. He's the hometown kid, one of the most underrated players in the front court players in the NBA
Isn't
right
he
now.
averaging close to 20 points
Yeah,
this season?
very underrated. One of the big reasons Orlando's doing so well, not getting the hype he deserves.
Yeah, doing kind of well. I don't know.
Yeah, Orlando.
Orlando had it.
They lost
have it
to
tough, though.
the Hawks. I mean,
Yeah, they did lose to the Hawks last time. That's pretty
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Well, the Knicks
That's
lost to the Nets the
embarrassing.
other night, so we can't just judge a team based on one
the
game.
Knicks are starting a terrible point guard. Ooh, I'm just playing.
there it goes.
No.
He's gonna be
Nope,
he's gonna be playing in
We
there
can't
as well.
mention that name.
Oh, we're not. I didn't mention the name.
Okay, good. We can't.
Except
do
for
it.
I'm not mentioning the name in it, but I have to say it. The Hawks, they were talking about the Hawks and the Knicks playing at the Phillips Arena. Saw the worst promo ad of my entire life. It said, they may have, insert the player we don't want to talk about's name here, but we have Insana Teague. And I was just like,
Oh my gosh.
me and my roommates all threw
Unbelievable.
stuff. and
I'll
just started
take
laughing.
Teague over. I'll take Teague over.
No, I'll
over your
take the
boy any
How
day.
come
I'll
we?
take the Knicks
How
point
come
guard.
we can't say Lynn? But when Tebow was here, we said his Tebow. Goodness
You
gracious!
just broke the rule.
All right, I'll take Jeremy Lin over Teague.
No.
All right.
I hate
Another
that. I'd much rather
another
talk about Jeremy
competition I
Lin
like
than Tebow.
watching is the skills contest with the point guards: Kyrie Irving, Tony Parker, Rajon Rondo, John Wall, Russell Westbrook, Darren Williams, and Stephon Curry are going to be in here.
Say that again. I got to pick mine.
The point guard contest.
I know, but say the names again one more time.
All right, with Irving, Parker, Rondo, Wall, Westbrook, D. Will, and Steph Curry.
Why is Parker in there?
Steph Curry.
Duran.
Which one of these is
It's
not like
it's
the
a
other?
combination of the speed, the shooting, and
I
the
picked Duran Williams.
defense.
Steph Curry. High basketball IQ.
Sounded like John Gruden with your big words there, Chris. You know what? I don't think I'm going to pick Westbrook because he's not a strong outside shooter. Likewise with John Wall. Tony Parker, I believe, won this thing a few years ago, so I'm going to go with Parker.
You're going Parker? That's
Going
cool.
Parker.
You got any horse in this race, Evan? Why are you laughing? You're just laughing.
Don't you mean dog in the fight?
No, horse in the race.
Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to take Kyrie Irving.
The rookie.
care.
All right, you're picking the rookie. All right.
I am.
okay,
I'm going to
yeah.
just pick him.
Now let's shift the focus to the college game. Guys, we are
Hallelujah.
3 weeks away from the tournament.
I have
20
not
days.
been watching college basketball this year.
Oh, you've missed out.
Chris is too upset
really.
about Tennessee
You're right.
losing everybody.
If my team doesn't win games, and with the exception of college football, this is strictly college basketball. If my team doesn't win, I'm not going to watch
Who,
it.
Tennessee or Georgia?
Tennessee.
Both of them.
Boo.
All right,
No. I like Georgia basketball.
You watch Duke.
I
North
don't
Carolina.
love Georgia basketball, but I'll watch it.
You watch Duke, North Carolina.
if it's
I
watchable.
did watch Duke,
Exactly.
North
You had to
Carolina.
watch that one.
All right, we got a lot of big games this weekend too. Georgia, Florida tomorrow afternoon. Another big matchup as well. Number 3 Missouri on the road against number 5 Kansas. The winner of this game is going to be in a great position for a number 1 seed in the
Missouri
NCAA
just
tournament.
Missouri
They
just
did. They lost to
today.
Kansas State,
Yeah.
so they're ranked number 3 right now too. So this is a big game, Big 12 regular season title on the line. Who do you like in this one?
And it's bigger for reasons other than 3 versus 5. And the border war, like that, it's not really something that we can kind of put into perspective being Southerners from Georgia, but this is huge. I mean, there's not a whole lot sports-wise in comparison to some other places going on in Kansas and Missouri, and this is big between them. This
Kansas usually leads the
Huge
series.
big.
They've dominated it for years, but it's been amplified this year because Missouri is leaving for
And
the
it's-
SEC
yeah.
next year, and Missouri has been one of the best college basketball teams so far this season.
And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see 2 unbelievably highly motivated teams, because whoever wins this game will be able to say, look, we won the last border war in history. In our history of the 2 programs.
The last ever, probably the last
they'll
foreseeable
play again,
time.
but in their series together, consecutively playing each other each season, these teams are going to want to win that game. And it's not going to have anything to do with what freaking seed they're going to be in the tournament, what seed they're going to be in
all
the...
right.
It's gonna have
Border
everything
war
to do with
aside, and it's important and all, but these guys are more focused about winning the Final Four and not worried about we have to get the border war, because
What's more immediate?
what are those fans going to look ahead to in the 20 years from now the season? Oh, remember that year we went to the Final Four, the year we won the final border war. The championship or Final Four is going to be more meaningful.
But do you think either of those teams have an actual chance?
Yes, I think these teams have a chance to do it. I've been watching play all
How
year.
ridiculous is that?
Missouri beat Kansas in 74-71 in their previous matchup about 4 weeks ago. And this is going to be important for Kansas as well because, like I said, right now both these teams are probably going to get top 2 seeds in the tournament. Missouri's favored to get that St. Louis regional number 1 seed too, and another important game as well because Thomas Robinson with a good performance here could, secure his spot as a National Player of the Year, competing with Anthony Davis right now for that spot.
Did you see that?
So guys, who's been looking at just Thomas Robinson, Anthony Davis? Who's been your pick for Player of the Year so far? Do you have to give it to Davis with the way he's dominated, or do you have to give it for Robinson? Kansas is supposed to be a rebuilding year for them, possibly going to get a number 1 seed. And Kentucky, let's face it, they've probably got the most talent in the country.
Yeah.
This is just solely because I've seen him live. I'd pick Anthony Davis. Just when he played us, he's really good.
He's dominant. I was at that game as well too. Had a great performance. Even in the out of conference games against North Carolina and Kansas, he had some great games as well, including the Louisville game. Those are all teams that are going to get great seeds in the tournament too. But Thomas Robinson has leapfrogged from a guy who might have been a second-round pick this year to a guy who's probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft.
Personally,
Reminds me a lot of Derek Williams last year.
I really like Fab Melo. I just love the name and I love his game. It's pretty awesome, and I rhymed there.
Well,
Awesome. Anyway,
Syracuse's deepest team in the country, so I don't know if Fab has played much to get consideration for the National Player of the Year.
For that, but I love Fab
He has
Melo.
3-game suspension, in which Syracuse lost one of those their only game of the season to Notre Dame during that stretch. Certainly showed how valuable he is, but it's going to come down to Anthony Davis or Thomas
A
Robinson.
guy that has the name Melo that actually plays with passion. That's new.
Yeah. You just
Melo Anthony show.
you just were not happy with how the Knicks were playing last night.
Anyway, but yeah. Also, I mean, tomorrow you also have to look at Vanderbilt, Kentucky as well. I mean, that's an SEC matchup. We can't ignore it. I mean, Vanderbilt's not ranked, but they have a pretty good shot of making the tournament themselves. And I don't know about you, but watching them shoot against us, I was impressed. John Jenkins.
Yeah. Okay. Can I go off here for a second? John Jenkins does not look at the hoop when he shoots the ball. I'm not joking. We were watching, and he jumped, and the ball was out of his hands before he looked at the basket. And I just don't understand because it's literally that quick that you swear he's still looking at the guy who passed him the ball, but the ball's already in the air on route to the net. And it's just like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like it's a
Whatever he's doing's working.
net-seeking missile. I don't.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see
Unbelievable.
how they handle the matchup with Festus Ezeli. I watched the Kentucky-Mississippi State game on Tuesday night, and they struggled in the first half. Kentucky was down 13 at halftime. Granted, they outscored them by 22 points in the second half, but Arnett Moultrie, another guy you're going to see in those NBA mock drafts in a few months, played very well, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 2 blocks. Definitely gave Anthony Davis some trouble, too. And Kentucky's had some bad shooting nights, throughout the season, and that I think that right now if they win the SEC tournament, probably going to be the number 1 overall seed in the tournament too. But Kentucky seemed unbeatable 2 years ago as well, and we saw them lose to West Virginia in the Elite Eight. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is an inexperienced team, just as it was last year and the year before that. And we'll see if Cal finally gets that ring and finally gets another Final Four appearance without having it taken away. But is there a team you're looking at, Ben, Chris, or Evan, that you see as a dark horse in the tournament? You're a team that can pull off the upset.
Michigan State, I feel, is a tournament-built team. I mean, there's not a whole lot of flaws in that game outside of them just coming out flat, which no one and Tom Izzo is a great coach.
Is that a dark horse though?
I don't call them a dark horse. A lot of people have them positioned out
so.
for a number 1 seed.
I mean, are we talking about like
you're
15,
11,
seeds
you're 10 or 11
okay.
seed that's going to screw up your bracket.
All right, let's go the bracket busters.
One team
Savannah State.
could be making
What's
the tournament.
up, Tigers? Yeah.
Another team to look out for, Wichita State. We saw them pull off a good run in 2006, a few upsets. Then I think they screwed up my bracket that year as well. They got 4 seniors on that team, so it's important to looking at these bracket busters. Look
How
for
about
the teams
Middle
that have
Tennessee
experience.
State?
Yeah, they're
You're talking about a 25-4 team who's probably going to be like a 10 seed. Like, I don't care who you are, going 25-4. That's
look at
a
Murray
really good
State. They
season.
have 1 loss.
Oh
and
yeah.
they
Well, I
may
was
not
just
get
counting
higher
them.
than a 5 seed.
I was just counting them because they're not gonna. I mean, they're going to be facing teams at lower seeds than them. But Middle Tennessee State will consistently be playing teams at higher seeds than them throughout the tournament. So I think that could be someone who comes out of nowhere.
Murray State
relatively.
did beat Tennessee State by 18 points. So
Harvard could give somebody a hard time.
yep.
I mean, they've got a decent team, and they're 23-3. I mean, it doesn't say much to go 9-1 in the Ivy League stuff.
No,
but
they have been ranked most of the year. At the beginning of the year, they had a close game with the UConn Huskies, who right now they got a big. They might not even make the tournament. They got a big matchup tomorrow night with Syracuse. That's going to be the primetime game on ESPN at 9:00.
And if either Mississippi State or Alabama makes the tournament, those two teams both have the potential to make runs.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say I'll give a team that I think has the potential to make a serious run that's going to be a higher seed. And I'll go ahead and tell a seed that's going to be a high seed that's going to lose early. The high seed that's going to lose early is Duke.
Nope,
They're too
I
soft.
disagree.
They are too soft. In the front court, they are just I've watched them play. Rivers has gotten better. I have to say he's obvious. I mean, he hit that game winner against UNC, but I don't see them getting the job done and being they don't have quite the talent they have in the past. Ryan Kelly is playing forward, and you can't tell me Ryan Kelly is a dominant front court player. And then you've got the Plumlees, who Mason Plumlee. He's an above average player, but once he faces a big time college, if he goes up against a big time college player, like Sullinger or something, he's going to get absolutely rocked in the paint. He's too soft. They're too soft, and if they get an unfavorable matchup, they'll lose early and they won't make it to the Sweet 16.
Well, how much of it is they're too soft versus unchallenged outside of UNC Florida State?
They've been challenged. They didn't just face UNC as their only tough teams.
Virginia,
Florida State have been decent as well.
Even
Florida
the Maui
State upset them.
I mean, they face some pretty stout competition there too.
Well, the only reason I have to disagree with you is just because I picked Duke to win the tournament already. So it's part of my 2012 bold prediction.
My bold prediction is I think Michigan could potentially go pretty far. I think they're a good team. They've got obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. is a great player. And then also they've got
had some
Zach
close
Novak
games
again.
They've had some close games in that Big Ten this year. And the Big Ten's probably, for my money, been the best conference, top to bottom in college basketball. The Big East certainly was the best last year when they sent a record 11 teams. But the Big East probably is going to send the most teams again this year too. But that's probably this year has more to do with having 16 or 17 basketball teams more so than having
the
really, best teams in general.
Yeah, they really were hurt with UConn, kind of taking a couple of steps back. But yeah,
and then St. John's not having Steve Lavin this year.
I'm biased against Big Ten because it seems like the SEC is always pitted against them, and people are always saying, "Oh no, Big Ten really is better than the SEC," which is full of crock in most sports. You're looking at a league where the number 5 team is the only team this year that beat Kentucky in their conference, Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana had a bad stretch there about December, January. They lost 3 in a row, but they were ranked top 10 at one point too. And you got Cody Zeller there, he's the better Zeller. I mean, Tyler Zeller was hyped going into the regular season too, but Cody Zeller was one of the freshmen that was not talked about, and a guy who right now going to be their key player going into the tournament, and that could be a team that could pull off an upset in the first round.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of the older Zeller, Tyler, if you're looking at the team that could disappoint North Carolina, they go as the preseason number 1 team in the country. I know Dave Sanders doesn't want to hear this too, but they've vastly underperformed. A lot of it has to do with injuries. Leslie McDonald and Dexter Strickland, 2 of their reserves on the bench, have been hurt. I mean, McDonald didn't even play this year at all.
It's just weird
Strickland
to hear that
tore
they've
an ACL.
underperformed because they're tied for number 1 in the conference and they're 24-4 overall. Like outside of a loss to Duke, a loss
You're
to
expecting
UNLV.
this team to be more dominant. Granted, they have lost some close games too. I mean, the Florida State game probably an aberration there too, but you did lose by 33 points to Florida State. You lose close games to Duke and Kentucky. Both those games were lost by a point, and then the regular season, back their preseason term, they lose the UNLV.
Yeah.
UNLV was shooting lights out that night.
I mean,
they had a
and
terrible
they're a great
shooting
team.
night. Yeah,
Talking about a
UNLV was
team from a mid-major who could make some things happen in the tournament.
UNLV has been one of the best mid-major programs in college basketball history. This even before Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon showed up. I mean, Jerry Tarkanian had that team winning years ago. So I don't look at UNLV as this team from out of nowhere. I mean, they're not the tumbleweed tech that they were years ago. But Mountain West, they're probably gonna have more teams in the tournament this year than the Pac-10, and they aren't going to exist in a few years.
Yeah.
San Diego State.
Well, they're going to go to the West Coast Conference, so they're going to give Gonzaga some competition in there.
I'm rooting for my boys, San Diego State.
Ben, why don't you just move to San Diego?
I want to. If you can hook me up with the Chargers, covering the Chargers the rest of my life, I'll do it. Even if they move to L.A., I'll do it.
All right. You're
Hook me
going to
with that.
cover them from Los Angeles or San Diego?
I'll probably live in San Diego if I can afford to have an apartment in Los Angeles.
On the beach, right?
Yep. It's my dream.
Or Torrey Pines, somewhere down there.
Or I can just end up being a Chargers coach. You never know.
How about you just live in between the two places?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, to be honest, if you could cover the Los Angeles Chargers from San Diego and just drive 2 hours to work each day, because you could live out in Orange County and it would still take you 2 hours to get to downtown Los Angeles at that stadium that is to be built.
Yeah. But anyway, sports-wise, last 5 minutes, let's just go through some of the biggest stories so we can have a little, shoot around with it with the topics. So Ryan Braun, Major League Baseball, tested positive for steroids, high amounts of testosterone. Yesterday, they ruled that he will not have a 50-game suspension, and it was because the guy who was supposed to deliver his test waited a day and a half and left it out in his cabinet or something and then took it. So they got it as a fault of procedure, so it doesn't count. But any thoughts on that?
That's not even what I heard, but okay.
No, that's what ESPN's reporting.
Okay. See, I heard it completely.
All right,
different story.
I'm not a medical expert, but if you did leave that testosterone in the jar outside, does that change the sample, or does that tamper with it, or is that just against the rules?
They said that. They just said it was a breach of procedure.
Right.
All right, so there's a perception now.
Legal loophole.
So public's still going to think that he took steroids.
And then Braun's the past day and a half, he's been on a huge campaign saying, I would never put that in my system, stuff like that. It's stuff you would expect him to do. So, I mean, you don't really know.
And we've seen this before from, the guys that we grew up watching, Bond, Sosa, McGuire. So, unfortunately for Braun, I mean, this is a guy who's one of the star players in baseball the last 4 or 5 years. A guy who's still going to continue to be a great player, barring injury, but this has definitely put a dent in his image. And if he does continue to play at this level for the next decade or so, it's definitely going to put a dent in your Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yeah, another story we have to talk about real quick is anybody want to pick who they think is going to win the Daytona 500?
Danica Patrick.
Ah, you're terrible.
Jonah Hill's more likely to win that Academy Award than Danica Patrick is to win the Daytona 500.
I think Jonah Hill's more likely to win the Daytona 500 than Danica Patrick is.
Wow. She's a good driver.
Better
she
driver
doesn't
than
have a
you,
chance,
Evan.
but-
I've seen you drive.
Ooh. Anyway, hey, we're moving away from.
I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson
Okay,
because
who's
I'm a casual NASCAR guy, easy to
who's
pick
better
Johnson.
at driving, Danica Patrick or Jeremy Lin?
Oh, just stop.
Or me
You
when
didn't
I
wanna say that
dislocated my
name.
shoulder.
You
huh?
didn't want to say that name.
I
just
did
said it.
though. I got to
Anyway,
in the last 2
If
minutes.
I had to pick somebody, I'm picking not Casey Kane. I'm picking what's his name, Kyle Busch. I hate Kyle Busch, but I'll pick him. Just because
He
he's a
is
good
the
driver.
Kenny Powers of NASCAR, and that was that show finally premiered again, the 3rd season of Eastbound and Down. Kenny Powers, the real-life John Rocker. The guy was actually here last year, the Danny McBride, the actor. How much have you guys watched it at all?
I've seen a couple episodes. Yeah.
Literally,
I've watched
don't
it
have
with you a
clue
couple times. It's
what
pretty funny.
That is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of like slapstick humor though.
It's definitely very crude humor, but
yeah, more crude.
if you don't find The Hangover offensive, you probably won't find that show offensive. So check it out, HBO.
Yeah.
Great show, can't watch it, or go
Another-
find it somewhere on the internet illegally.
Another story that we have to mention
allowed to
because
say
it
that?
affects Georgia is NCAA moved their kickoff line from
Yeah.
30 to 35. Doesn't surprise me. They're just going with what the NFL's doing to stop concussions.
Exactly, I agree with the change. Make it more like the NFL. Reduce the concussion. That's one of the hot button issues in football right now. But as far as overall scoring, is that really going to affect the game too much? Probably not.
No.
No.
Maybe returns because of the return game is kind of a big part of college football.
Remember, the
because there's a
NFL
lot-
changed the rule, and
it
then
will help Georgia. It will help Georgia. Think
NFL
about
changed
it.
the rule, and the kick returns for touchdowns went up.
If our new kickoff guy can kick it out of bounds every single time, Georgia's about to win a lot more games.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna.
And we'll still have punts, which I think are more college than kickoff returns. Like
I'll take a
punt
35-yard
returns.
or 40-yard punt versus distance if they just kick it really high and we just stop them every time. I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end on this here. All right, the best
Oklahoma City Thunder is the best team in the NBA. Go ahead. Sorry.
best team in the NBA. I'm going to still go stick with Miami as the best team in the NBA. Oklahoma City, though, facing tougher competition in the Western Conference. Seems like the West has been better in the NBA now for like the last 15 years at this point. All right, I'll end with this. Basketball Hall of Fame finalists have been announced. Reggie Miller's on that chart again. Why is it in these Hall of Fame debates that sometimes guys have to wait 4 or 5 years to get in there? If you're a Hall of Famer now, why are you a Hall of Famer then? You're a Hall of Famer 5 years from now, but you could have been one now. Whatever. I don't get it. But Matt Ryan here. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yep. Have a
Peace.
Goodbye with a little help of your friends. All right.
Oh gosh.